So, I know you want to learn how to ruck, but first we've got to understand how it integrates into your fitness routine. So grab a pen and paper or get your laptop ready. I'll meet you in the office so we can geek out over programming. All right, we're going to get you fired up about rucking so that by the end of this episode, you're raring to go. So let's start with purpose. Why are we rucking and how does it fit into your fitness routine? So think of rucking like running, cycling, or swimming. It's primarily a cardio activity, so it can be programmed in the exact same way. As an example, before I started rucking, I would cycle for cardio on days separate to my strength training. And when I started rucking, I simply swapped out cycling for rucking. Now, like me, you might be wondering if rucking is a better cardio option compared to what you're currently doing. Or you might love what you're currently doing and you'd like to explore rucking as another cardio option. Both approaches are fine. The key takeaway is to treat rucking as cardio so that you ruck with intention. Now we can explore the various rucking methods that serve as effective cardio training so that you can put this into practice. You can ruck indoors on a treadmill or stepper, or you can ruck outdoors on flat ground or the hills. Now, the type of rucking you do will depend on what you have access to and what you enjoy doing. But remember that we are rucking for cardio, and effective cardio training starts with a foundation of Zone 2. If you're not familiar, Zone 2 is steady state, low intensity cardio. Think 3 to 5 out of 10 effort that feels like a slightly strained conversational pace. So let's explore the various rucking methods you can do for effective Zone 2. Starting with indoor options. Incline, treadmill, walking. This is where I recommend everyone starts. It's safe, it's low impact, it's easy to control your pace and work at the right intensity, and that makes it highly effective. To do it, you simply find an incline and speed combination that gets you working at your Zone 2 pace and sustain it for a set duration. An example workout could be setting the treadmill to 10% incline and walking at 4 kilometers an hour for 30 to 60 minutes. You can also work at different incline and speed combinations within the same session, and that's something I love to do. So for example, you could work for 15 minutes at 10%, 15 minutes at 12.5%, and 15 minutes at 15% incline, adjusting the speed accordingly. This keeps things interesting, it provides movement variability that is great for your body. I've got a whole episode dedicated to this method that I'll link for you to watch later. Next up, shuffling on a treadmill. Now this is a more advanced rucking method because you need to be strong enough to handle the greater forces going through your legs and fit enough to keep your heart rate within Zone 2. An example workout could be shuffling on a flat or 2% incline at 8 kilometers an hour for 30 to 60 minutes. You can also combine shuffling with incline walking, and that's something I love to do. So for example, you could shuffle for 20 minutes on a flat treadmill and then do a moderate incline walk for 20 minutes and finish with a high incline walk. Again, this is a more advanced rucking method, so it's definitely something you want to build up to if it's of interest to you. Moving on to outdoor options. If you have access to the hills, you can march and/or shuffle for a set distance or time, adjusting your pace to maintain a Zone 2 intensity. Now, it's harder to control your heart rate compared to a treadmill because rucking on the hills often includes a mixture of flat, incline, and downhill sections of varied steepness, but that shouldn't discourage you. It's great fun, it gets you outdoors, and as you gain experience and confidence, you're going to get better at managing your pace and controlling the intensity, so it's a highly effective workout. I personally like to get out on the hills at least once per week. It's my favorite way to ruck. It's what got me into rucking, and I've got a whole episode dedicated to teaching you how to do that well if it's of interest to you. Next up, an outdoor shuffle. Similar to a treadmill, but taken outside, you can perform a shuffle for a set distance or time, keeping your pace in the Zone 2 range. Just be mindful that the impact will be higher than a treadmill shuffle if you're rucking on a hard surface like concrete. So gravel or grass would be more forgiving and preferable if you like the sound of that. Once you've established a foundation of Zone 2 rucking and you've built a solid base of aerobic fitness, now it's time to introduce some higher intensity cardio methods into your routine. So two classic cardio methods are threshold intervals and VO2 max intervals, also known as HIIT. So in this section, we will explore the best rucking methods for effective interval training. Starting indoors, incline marching on the treadmill. The treadmill is a great tool for interval training because you can easily adjust the incline and speed to work at the right intensity. Here's an example of the classic HIIT session known as the Norwegian 4x4. I set the treadmill to a 15% incline and 6 kilometers an hour. I march fast for 4 minutes. I half the incline and speed for a 4-minute active recovery. I rinse and repeat 4 times. Of course, you'll need to adjust the parameters to match your fitness. So weight in the pack, incline and speed, but that's the basic idea. This is a very accessible, low impact and effective way to do proper HIIT training to build VO2 max. I can't recommend it enough. The stepper is another great option for rucking based intervals. You simply adjust the speed to match your desired intensity for the session you have planned. So here's an example of a threshold interval session. 5 minutes at a speed that feels like a 7 out of 10 effort, 3 minutes at a speed that feels like a 4 out of 10 effort, repeat 3 rounds. The stepper gets your heart rate up very easily, so I would suggest starting with a low weight in the pack if you want to try this out. Moving outdoors and not for the faint-hearted, hill repeats. Just like the incline treadmill march, but taken outside. It's certainly a bit more advanced as the hills have the added challenge of varied terrain and you have to walk or shuffle downhill in between sets. This really challenges the legs as they have to handle braking forces, so you want to have strong legs to safely perform this method. Depending on what hills you have access to, you will likely need to adjust your speed and weight in the pack to maintain the right level of effort for the interval session you're doing. Here's an example of one of my hill repeat sessions at Devil's Dyke on the South Downs. I start in the valley and march up to a bench at the top of the hill. This takes about 5 minutes. I then shuffle back down and repeat 4 to 6 rounds. There's a saying, there's fit, then there's hills fit. You'll know exactly what that means if you give this a go. So there we have it. There are lots of ways to ruck, making it very accessible, very versatile, and a highly effective cardio activity. Now, you might have the option to ruck indoors or outdoors, and you might be wondering, what should I do? So allow me to weigh in with the pros and cons from my experience. Starting indoors, high precision. So it's very easy to control your pace and intensity to match the type of cardio workout you're doing. And that makes it highly effective at stimulating cardio adaptations. Safe environment. You don't have to worry about variability in the terrain, meaning that it's going to be a very low risk of injury and you can just focus on the quality of your workout. The main con here is that it's less stimulating, right? It can feel a bit more monotonous, perhaps more boring, though I personally view that as a positive because it's very restorative to the brain. I find it very meditative, but we're not all the same, so that's important to point out if that's an issue for you. With outdoor rucking, it's the opposite. It's more stimulating, okay? More visual and sensory input. We are outdoors, we are more connected to nature. It makes you feel alive. That's certainly what got me into rucking in the first place, so I think that's the biggest positive here. More variability, okay? So that varied terrain that we talked about, that is great for the brain and cognitive health, and movement variability is also great for muscle and joint health. That said, rucking outdoors is going to have a bit less precision than rucking on a treadmill. It is more difficult to manage the pace and intensity and control your heart rate. And that means that your workouts might be less effective at stimulating cardio adaptations. Although you can get around this as you gain experience and you become more skilled, you will get better at doing that. And a greater risk of injury, perhaps, right? So if you're dealing with harsh terrain and lots of steep slopes, especially wet conditions, that would add another element of danger. Look, there's risks of slipping, rolling your ankle, things like that you have to be mindful of. So that's why rucking outdoors is a little bit more advanced. You want to certainly be well prepared for that type of rucking. So with that said, what should you do? whatever you want to do. So this is what I did. I did some outdoor rucks initially, then I stuck mostly to rucking indoors to build my strength, my fitness, my resilience, and just confidence. And then today I do a mix of both. So I tend to ruck indoors on a treadmill in the week because it's more practical, it's more quick. And then I like to go out for a much longer ruck at the weekends when I have more time, sometimes alone, sometimes with a friend or a group, to bring in that social element too. Let's put this together now. I'm going to present some training split examples so you can see how we can integrate rucking for cardio with an existing strength training routine. Now, for simplicity, I will keep the strength training to 3 days a week so you can see the difference in the cardio programming between beginner, intermediate, and more advanced rucker. Though, of course, you could do more strength training days or less, it doesn't really matter. So for the beginner rucker, you might start with 2 zone 2 cardio sessions rucking on an incline treadmill. This is going to be the most sensible and accessible entry point. It's going to help you to build your fitness and confidence training with weight on your back. For the more intermediate rucker, you might now do 2 zone 2 cardio sessions, but we're going to differentiate them. So one is on the treadmill incline walking, the other is outdoor on the hills. Okay, so we're adding a bit more of a complex rucking method. You now have to manage your pace with varied terrain and different, gradients. And we've also got a threshold interval session in there. Certainly if you're of an intermediate level of fitness or beyond, we want to be doing some mid and high intensity work. So we've got an interval session there on the stepper. Now, when you're advanced and you've got lots of experience, here's an example of one of my own training blocks. So 2 zone 2s there, one on the incline treadmill in the week. The other one, as I said earlier in this video, outdoor on the hills, much longer now. Okay, so we've got to navigate all that complex terrain and varied gradients. And have also combined it with another cardio method. Okay, so threshold intervals again. And that way we're kind of training 2 different cardio systems. This is a really great way to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, essentially. It is a lot of volume and intensity though, so that's why you would only want to do something like this when you've gained a lot of fitness and built that conditioning. You will notice there's also a HIIT session program there, classic 4x4. That could be treadmill incline march, it could be stepper, it could be outdoor hill repeats. But hopefully you can see now how we can fit these different rucking methods into our program depending on our fitness and preference. You will also notice there on the more advanced split that I've put 2 full body and 1 upper, and that's because when you get to this level of rucking, there's a lot of volume and intensity on the legs. We need more recovery. So having one of those strength training days as pure upper body just gives more recovery. It helps to break 2 of those sessions up so we preserve high quality training. I know from lots of experience now that this is a phenomenal split to get really strong and really fit simultaneously, which is what I really care about. Hopefully all that is helpful to see how you can integrate rucking into your routine right now. Are you fired up to start rucking after that? I hope so. Let me know in the comments below. So in the next episode, we are going to look at the essential kit, okay? So rucksack, how to load it and with what, footwear and more. Now look, today we discussed the purpose behind rucking and we covered programming in a very general way. And that's because programming is a very complex and nuanced topic. I've been studying it for 20 years. It's why I'm a coach, it's why I build programs for a living, so that you don't have to do that bit. You can just follow a very well structured and guided program and just get jacked and healthy. So if you do want to follow a program that integrates rucking, lifting, and mobility, then check out what I have on offer below. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.